Good morning once again as we return to our morning mindset. My name is Kerry Green. I am just a fellow brother here on the journey to follow after our Savior Jesus Christ. And this morning mindset is designed to be an encouragement to you, a tool for you to use each morning to help you get your mind right. And I don't say that in a condescending kind of a way. I just say it in a way of knowing that we all leak. That's one of my favorite ways to say it because it's so picturesque. We all leak. We leak things like confidence. We leak things like truth. And we wake up in the morning often with our mind in a default place where we have reverted back to the way we were used to thinking before we became a believer in Jesus Christ. And the morning mindset is designed to help you get back on track this morning, to help you get your mind aligned with the truth of God. And we've been looking at Matthew chapter 5, the Beatitudes, and I especially wanted to look at these as we move toward the new year. Because these are mindsets that are good for us to have. They're different ways of looking at the world that we live in and reality that our world typically teaches us. I mean, let's take this next one, for example. This is verse number 6 in Matthew chapter 5. It says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied." Now, there is an amazing concept here. You see, we live in a world that doesn't, and I don't believe this is too judgmental of a statement, our world doesn't hunger and thirst for righteousness. In fact, our world seems to delight in becoming more and more risque and promiscuous and contemptuous of the boundaries of morality and decency all the time, doesn't it? We don't live in a world that hungers and thirsts for righteousness, yet God tells us a promise here that is exactly opposite of what the world is like. And that's hard for us to get our heads around sometimes because it's so different than what we see around us. But God's people are committed to living in God's ways. And this is one of those mindsets we've got to get ourselves familiar with and aligned with. So to hunger and thirst for righteousness, what does that mean? Well, first of all, I have to say I love the words hunger and thirst. They're so descriptive of what this is like. To be hungry, we all know what that's like. To be thirsty, we all know what that's like. And he's saying to be hungry and thirsty for righteousness is what we need to be. For righteousness, what does that mean? Well, it means to be right. Not meaning right with someone else being wrong. It's not that kind of right. It means to be in the right, to be right before God. To hunger and thirst for righteousness means in our own lives, first of all, we want to be righteous people because that is what God desires of us. That is what is good, and that is what is right for us. But yet, we also hunger and thirst for righteousness to be expressed and seen in this world. We long for righteous rulers. We long for righteous judgments to be made in the courts. We long for righteous laws to be made in Congress. You see, we are blessed when we hunger and thirst for righteousness because Jesus says we will be satisfied. And the implication is we will be satisfied in our hunger for that righteousness, in our thirst for that righteousness. When will that happen? Well, we know it will happen incrementally throughout our lives, but we know also finally it will become true in our home, our final home, there with Jesus Christ in the new heaven and the new earth, when he comes to rule and reign as our King forever. So, my brothers and sisters, don't give up. Don't lose your hunger. Don't lose your thirst for righteousness as we go into this new year. Let's meet again tomorrow for the Morning Mindset and share this with someone you know would benefit from the Morning Mindset.